And now, here to entertain you all, because every day he's hustling. Side Hustle Cinema.
Welcome back to the channel. Side Hustle Cinema here. Thanks for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to be putting out my top 10 list of the 4K transfers for 2021. For this list, I am not going to be taking into account the quality of the movie, as you'll see from the list. Also, I'm not going to be taking into consideration the packaging or special features. This is all about the audio and the video. I worked really hard on this list. I wanted to make sure I watched as many of the 4Ks that I had, and I wanted to watch as many of the 4Ks that people had mentioned throughout the years being really good transfers. So actually, for the month of December, I pretty much skipped out on watching Christmas movies, which I kind of hated doing. But I've literally watched like maybe one or two Christmas movies all season long, because I spent most of my time watching 4K movies that I had bought throughout the year and hadn't watched yet. And I was really surprised at how many there were. And yeah, it was a chore sitting through some of them. Basically, I watched a bunch of movies that I wasn't necessarily wanting to watch, just trying to make sure that I could do as an honest of a list as I possibly could do. Also not in my top 10 list are going to be a lot of the older titles. And I know some people have done their top 10 lists and they have included a lot of the older titles in there. A couple of them I've seen quite a bit is Django, from Arrow, and Final Countdown. I don't own either one of those, so they were never going to make the list because I don't own them. I think what they're trying to say when they put those movies on their best transfer list is that those movies have come a long way. That there was a lot of work put into those, and that it was a really good transfer when you take a really old movie that probably wasn't in that good a shape and you bring it up to the level that those movies are at now. I don't think they're saying that those movies look better than some of the ones that are in my top 10. Because, that's just not the case. Because as cleaned up and as restored and upgraded as those movies are, they're just never going to look as good as a movie that was shot in 6K or 8K or with IMAX cameras. It's just not going to happen, guys. And so for that reason, I don't have any like really old titles on my list, especially, because a lot of those older titles, they don't get upgraded audio. I mean, first of all, the movie didn't really support it at the time. And so they would have to go in and sort of, remix and recreate a track that wasn't there. And they would have to do a ton of work, and these companies just aren't going to do that kind of restoration. But I do have several titles here. I've got, I think, 7 titles that I kind of wanted to point out as being some older titles that I thought looked excellent, and I wanted to give them some appreciation. And maybe this will be some recommendations for people who, want to pick up some 4Ks that are older. I was only going to do a top 5 list for these old movies, but then I would find one more, and then I would find one more. And I didn't want to make a separate top 10 list. I probably could have. So I ended up stopping. I cut it off at 7. So I've got 7 movies I want to talk about really quickly, and just give them a little love, because these are pretty good transfers, and they did a really good job with these restorations, and I just want to acknowledge them. Number 7 was The Outsiders. This is the new one that came on. This is a slipcover that I made. Didn't come with a slipcover, but yeah, The Outsiders was a really nice upgrade from what it used to be, from what the Blu-ray was. There's a featurette on here that talks about the restoration work that went into this. If you pick up this movie, definitely watch that featurette. It'll give you a good understanding, a good idea of the work that goes into restoring these older movies. Fantastic featurette on here. It really opens your eyes up to a lot of the work that goes into this. Pretty amazing. I thought this one looked great. Number 6, from that Columbia Classics Volume 2 set, we got Taxi Driver. I've seen some lists with this. This one's kind of high on people's lists, and it was really nice. I don't have anything to compare it to. I really didn't watch like the old Blu-ray or anything. But I did watch the 4K, and it does look pretty nice. So good restoration work was done on this one. Looks fantastic. That whole Columbia Classics set looks awesome. Oliver, I was kind of surprised. I'd never even seen the movie, and it was another one that looked good. They all look good. Get that set. Coming in at number 5, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This one came out in 78. This one looks fantastic. This is another Kino Lorber release. Excellent video on here. The audio was okay, but you know, it wasn't like an upgraded audio or anything. This one really looked pretty clean for such an old movie. Very nice. Number 4 on my list here of older movies was Clockwork Orange. This movie was, you know, it looked fantastic. It was eye-popping. It sounded pretty good too, and was definitely one of the better older releases that came out this year. Number 3 on my list was The Karate Kid Part 2. This one just came out not too long ago. It came as a part of that Karate Kid trilogy set, and Part 2 stood out more than the other two. This one does have upgraded audio. It does have a Dolby Atmos mix to it. The picture quality on this one is really what kind of blew me away. It was so much better than parts 1 and 3. I'm not sure why part 2 looks so good compared to the other two, but this one was a definite standout. Skin tones and textures looked really good in this one, and it was by far better than the Blu-ray. They also cleaned up a lot of the grain in this movie. The grain structure in this is very fine, and this one really would be an honorable mention for my top 10 list. If there wasn't such good movies in my top 10 list, this one would definitely get there. If I was going off a movie, if I factored that in as well, then yeah, it probably would have made the list. Number 2, Smokey and the Bandit. Now this one's kind of fun because I know a lot of people have this, but a lot of people haven't watched it. This is one of those movies where everyone seemed to have bought this one because it came out early at Walmart, and like months later you start asking around, hey, did you watch Smokey and the Bandit? Haven't gotten around to it yet. Gonna check that out at some point. No one watched it. So you guys need to pull this off the shelf, dust it off, and watch it. It's really good. First of all, it's just a great movie, but the transfer on it is amazing as well. The pops of color, they really cut down on the grain. This looks fantastic, and the audio's really good on here too. I mean, the audio did move around the room quite a bit in this one with the car chases and the different things that goes on, like when the Firebirds just zooming by, and then the cop car, and they're doing those jumps and all the crazy stuff that they do in this movie. It actually sounded really nice too. Yeah, fantastic movie. Everyone needs to go watch this one. And my number 1 of like some older movies and that came out this year on 4K And I'm going to give it to The Thing. This movie sounded really good. Could have been a little bit better. And it's hard not to factor in the movie a little bit because I do love this one so much. But it absolutely looked fantastic. One of the better, older releases that came out this year. Okay, now it's time to get into the top 10 list for best 4K transfer. And all of these have amazing audio and video. Sometimes the movie's not that great, but here we go. Let's start the list. Number 10. This one just came out, No Time to Die. I was actually going to wait to buy this one, but when I started hearing how good it was and that it was making people's lists, I knew I had to go out and pick this one up and watch it. And I gotta say, I was not disappointed. Excellent. Now this one was actually shot on film, but then parts of it was shot with IMAX cameras. But it looks absolutely fantastic, especially, I mean, there's so many sunsets, beach scenes, you know, when they're on Cuba. I mean, this thing looks, it's phenomenal. It also sounds really good too. You know, James Bond, he's always got that score going on. A lot of really nice stuff in this one, and then there's a fair amount of action in here as well. Can't go wrong with this one. This is on number 10. Number 9 is going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League. Again, with the soundtrack and the video combined, I mean, this one was just an amazing experience. Very long experience. But that's okay. It was more to enjoy. This one looked fantastic. This one will absolutely give your speakers and your sound system a workout. Coming in at number 8, I went with Krampus, the Naughty Cut. This was a Scream Factory 4K. And although the Blu-ray was phenomenal already, this one gave it just that little bit of extra. It's a dark movie, but has amazing pops of color. The HDR, the Dolby Vision, makes this movie amazing. You know, all the shadow details. And a really nice Atmos track on here. Coming in at number 7, we got Elysium. Coming in at number 7, we got Elysium. This is another movie that was shot at higher resolution, and those always look the best. This one's no exception. The HDR on here looks fantastic. A lot of these scenes are shot, you know, outdoors, and the level of detail is kind of off the charts here. I mean, this is a really, really nice looking one. Sounds amazing too. Decent amount of action in this one. No matter what you think about the movie, you can't fault this transfer. It's really one of the best. At number 6, we've got Mortal Kombat. This is another movie that at times is very dark, and you get really nice pops of color. The Atmos track was amazing as well. Like every time Sub-Zero would freeze something, you'd get that ice crackling effect all throughout the speakers as it traveled around the room. A ton of movement in the audio in this one made it super immersive, made it really fun. And that Dolby Vision, I mean, it looks amazing. All those inky blacks, pops of color everywhere. I've watched this movie a few times, probably more than I should, just because of how good it looks and sounds. It's actually made the movie grow on me a little bit more. I actually really like the movie. Number 5 is The Suicide Squad. It was already really impressive on streaming, and the disc is just that much better. The uncompressed audio that you get from the disc is some of the best. It's really one of the better audio mixes that came out this year. The bass is booming. Lots of stuff going on. This movie's got tons of action. And even though it's got so much CGI in it, it still looks excellent. A lot of outdoor scenes in this one as they storm the island. Everything looks fantastic. So much color in this one. so much to love. The Suicide Squad was definitely one of the better transfers of the year. Coming in at number 4 is Quiet Place 2. This one looks amazing, but really the audio on this one is one of the better audio mixes of the year. This is one of those examples of where the audio really enhances the story. Because it is a quiet place too, audio plays a big factor in this movie. When everyone's trying to be quiet and you can hear the monsters, creeping up, scurrying all around, you can hear that throughout your sound system. It's totally immersive. It adds a ton of suspense, creepiness to it. It just makes it so much more enjoyable. And if you saw the movie, you know that the picture is absolutely phenomenal as well. Fortunately, this one's just a really great movie. Number 3 is Chaos Walking. This is actually one of my biggest disappointing movies of the year because they squandered such an opportunity to have this amazing type movie. It looks fantastic and it sounds so good. This is one of the most unique Atmos tracks that came out this year. And if only the movie were good. And this movie is enhanced by the visuals and the audio, and it's still not very good. It just wasn't a good movie, and it's got a fantastic cast. I mean, how do you mess this up? It looks good, it sounds good, fantastic cast, but unfortunately the story just wasn't any good, although that's not what we're talking about today. This one I said it was a unique audio experience because, unlike a lot of the other Atmos tracks and audio mixes that are mentioned in this list, this one isn't like a big, it's not a huge action movie. But this one has so much discrete audio, so much movement, so many things that they did with the audio that made the situation totally immersive. I mean, it's all the outdoor scenes. You can hear like the birds chirping, the wind blowing, the leaves rattling around. When he's walking down the street and he's reading everyone's mind, he's listening to their thoughts. And you can hear it just bouncing around from different speakers. Such a cool experience. Daisy Ridley when she's hiding under the porch, and there's no women there, so they're trying to hunt her down, and the audio actually comes from the height speakers, so you totally feel like you were just hiding under the porch with her. Amazing audio, and the video was super good too. I mean, all those outdoor scenes and the forest, everything. Fantastic movie. Just wish the movie was better. Alright, number 2. And this one actually won my Best Audio Mix Award. And this is Monster Hunter. The audio on this one is super aggressive. But at times it slows down enough that you can have some of that discrete channel activity. That it has some of those subtleties that Chaos Walking had. But it's got that booming aggression that some of these others have as well. And even though there's a ton of CGI and stuff in this one, the picture quality is excellent as well. So many good things to like about this movie. And the movie's not half bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. The picture quality and the audio keeps me coming back. And anytime I'm showing off the theater to anyone who hasn't seen it, this is usually the disc I grab. This is my go-to reference disc. Mostly because it just kicks off right from the beginning. Totally amazing movie. Super awesome. And my number 1 4K transfer of the year is Godzilla vs. Kong. This audio mix, the Atmos track on here, is awesome. There's a ton of discrete channel activity. All the neon on the buildings at the end of the movie looks so good. Godzilla's fire that he breathes out or whatever that stuff is. That stuff looks amazing too. All the details on Kong. I mean, this movie looks fantastic. Sounds amazing. Can't say enough good stuff about it. It made a lot of people's lists, and for good reason. It's really, I think, the best transfer of the year. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you are unsubscribed to the channel, I invite you to subscribe. So until next time, stay safe, have fun, keep watching those movies. We'll see you on the next one.